one last example quick. I like this guy. Here again, let me give you a quick so yeah, this is really narrow, right? Yeah, it's really narrow. Oh wait, it's actually like this. Okay. But still, we have something like this. So here again, we could start with the background. So we have this triangular shape. Again, this is what speed paintings are good for, like analyzing the shape that we have here. And it's a little bit like cut in. I don't know from what movie that is. I don't even remember what website it was. It was a website for movie screenshots. But I've been there aeons ago, so I don't remember. And then we have, we want to fake clouds quickly, so we just use a fuzzy brush. And there we have the clouds. And there we have a blur filter. And then some airbrushing. And some a little bit of smudging and I don't know what, and whatever, it's clouds now. Okay, boop. And this one, yeah, it also needs some detail. And probably I will adjust the detail a little bit when the figure is set in frame. I don't know what I want to do here. I just want some random texture on this. Okay. And it gets darker by the corners. There you could just paint on top or whatever. Darken it a little bit. And the guy also is a triangular shape here. That's the guy. And that's completely different. I don't even make a drawing. I'm just putting in the shape of him. And then I will of course have to apply some corrections. But basically you learn a lot about composition this way. And Navigator is very useful in comparing. He's probably sitting somewhere like this. Huh? Oh, I keep picking the wrong tools. Sorry. Smudge tool. I didn't want to darken anything here. I wanted to shape it. So then you could say I want to practice like the folds here and stuff like that. I'm most interested like in the shadow of the face, so I will probably have to work on this area. And I won't do this in detail now, this is just to show you. Really quick. So if this were about his face and about just the shapes that we see, like the nose that sticks out, and we have the lips here, then we have a beard also here, and the eyes are very interesting because of the expression. If anyone knows from what movie that is, to my shame I don't know, just tell me, because it's really cool. I'd like to learn more about this guy. I like to learn more about angry looking guy with big nose in the sun looking like this. The nose looks really, really big in this light setup. That's really interesting. And there we already have the basic expression of him. Here we have all the landmarks. And then also we need this stuff up here. That's very detailed. Then again, for the drapery, we can just smudge the hell out of it so it looks more like silky or whatever material. And then we just throw color on the canvas. This is about creating the illusion of having a lot of detail. The eye doesn't mind if the detail you put there matches the detail on the reference 100%. When your viewer doesn't know the reference, he doesn't bother anyways. So the idea just is to work on your landmarks and present a lot of detail that the eye can look at. So you create the illusion of having a lot of detail here, while you actually don't have that much detail at all. You just threw some colors on here, and then you just shape those colors a little bit, and that's basically your detail. Here we go again. So again, I'll be using the smudge tool to fake this. And when you manage to get your colors well under control, then some people might even mistake this with a smudged photograph, even though it isn't. It's just the correct values and the correct colors used, and everything else is just rendering. And then it becomes necessary because this has so much detail that I shape his shoulder a little bit so we understand where the turban is actually going. I don't know if you call this turban in English, but this portion up here we call it turban. The headpiece. So it's basically all about making decisions. What you need to explain the study, but also how much of it do you need? So do you really need that much to make people understand that he has a turban wrapped around his face? I think it doesn't need too much. I think this already does the job. So, and now you have room again to say, focus a little more, like those also, you don't need to spend forever to make this headdress piece. It's just some bubbles basically, some basic spheres with some highlights. That's all it is. And that's all we need to do. And the same sort of highlight we find also here. I'm not so sure if this is rope or if this is drapery. Oh, that was too strong. It doesn't need that much more. So the turban doesn't overrule his face. We will now have to, at least this is about the turban. But if it is about the face, then face needs a little more detail now. Turban, headdress is fine for now. The only scenario in which we will refine the turban more is when we need refinement at some place to explain it better in context with the face. So one way to reduce detail is to really decide what element is most important, and everything else only has a right to exist if it works with that element. For instance, the rock in the background doesn't have anything to do really with the face. It explains the setting, well that's it. But we don't need the most detailed rock ever to understand that this is a man with a big nose who has a shadow on his face, looking determined, grumpy, whatever. We don't need the rock, the hill, whatever, to tell us that. I don't know if the movie explains what this rock is about, but to me it looks like a set piece. So I doubt that the film itself would actually take the time to make a lengthy shot about the rock in the background. And you can think of your study the same way, that my study is not about the rock in the background or whatever. It's about these things only that I chose, and I only need that to explain the painting. That will also be interesting because some students mentioned they like reduced stuff. This is a great chance to work reduced, to see how much detail you need to explain this guy. I like the highlight here because it helps defining the nose. also important to see how far down the highlight goes. I think it's more like this. And then here is very interesting, this color here that is that the color picker cannot see, but I can see it. This bright color here under his nose is the reflective color of the headpiece, and mixing up with the skin color, which is why it is bright down his nose and then it becomes dark again. But I think I need the rough texture brush because I have this rough look. So I have some place at this painting I settled for this rough painted look, and other things won't fit. So I should stick with that right now. I should not switch the look in the middle of the study because that will only waste my time. I can always work in a different look on the next study. What is this? This is also, yeah, this is not pink. Only here we have a highlight and then it's dark again. Those are very, very dark lips actually. It's really that dark. Ah, perhaps I have to darken the beard. His lips really bother me. I want a different color on them. Doesn't work on my study. I think about that in a moment. I'm doing something else now that because I don't want to get stuck. Oh, that's interesting. That's really dark. It's really, really dark. Huh. So he actually got a very detailed nose now. He's a nose man. From the land of No. No, the nose is even more detailed. I don't know if I am able to get his lips right. I have a bad lips day. No, I wanted this color. Yeah, that sort of does the job. It's very much of a drawing style I'm using now. But I think that actually works for him. I'm also not using small strokes because that doesn't fit the look. Now I have to actually touch the headpiece a little bit because the shape influences the face. So I have to see where it intersects with the face, where we have some shadows, obviously. Oh, that's okay. And I think now that I see it, his eyes are too close together. So we need to move this a little bit. So yeah, movie screenshots, great stuff for practicing faces. I feel like I learn a lot more about angry looking men with big noses right now. I call this masterpiece Man with Nose. I want the reflection on his eyes because the nose has so many details and it is so shiny in the sun that I need to add the reflection in his eyes. So the eyes are not overshone too much by the illuminated brightness of the nose. Nicolas Cage would agree. Oh, we even have the highlighted parts of the beard. Big Nose Man talks about noses and beard styling. Don't miss today's interview. Okay, the highlights. That's actually interesting. Because they're so... We have those tiny, 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 tiny. Like this. This looks really weird. Without the highlights, this looks odd. And then need to work the highlights. I want the highlights to support the fact that he is looking up. And I think they do that on the original picture. Just need to find a way for them to do it on my painting as well. I don't want him to look like he's crying. My nose is so big. All the other kids are teasing me. The world is so mean. Oh, this is a very angry man. This is a very angry man. This actually goes down like this. Oh, that's nice. I think the eyes are still too close together. Did I mention that? That the eyes are actually too close together? Oh, I forgot to mention, the eyes are still too close together. Let's move them a little bit. And is he looking in two different directions? I hope not. That would be so typical for me. To make him look in random directions. I want some of the highlight on his lips. I gave him slightly different lips, but I like them this way. I just need to find a good placing for the highlight. I think this is a lot of fun to do such quick facial studies that need to be really reduced. It's really, really lots of fun. You should definitely try it. Also, when you like reduced styles a little more that are more towards comic book and such, then this is the perfect training for you. I'm really on a fight with this highlight on his lower lip. It's really bothering me. I want it to be perfect, but it doesn't work the way it is on the photograph, so I have to find my own stylized way to make it work. This, for instance, kind of works for me. It's always a matter of taste. And what I also would like to have, but I don't know if it'll look good or if it has too much detail then. Okay. Yeah, we got a little bit of color on here. And let's see. Because when it's too detailed, it's not about the light and his nose anymore. And then I will be forced to add a lot more detail to his face. Which would suck. And so I have to find a good balance. But I think with the shadows I can do the final touches, because his face is a little, you know, thinner, and I need those shadows here to emphasize that. And I think I need to restyle his headdress a little bit, and then it's about his nose again. Now that I'm looking at it, I think it is too pinkish, and that bothers me, so I want to find a better color tone for the nose, because it is so very important in this painting, of utmost importance. A man and his nose. I will make a fake movie poster with this, maybe. Until I know what the original movie is called, I will call it A Man and His Nose. Alone Under the Sun. Movie by Steven Spielberg. Or J.J. Abrams, but then we need lens flares. Then we need a lot of lens flares. So what I want is the right shape for framing his face, basically. Everything else doesn't really matter to me right now. I just want like this important part that frames his face, that I want to be pretty and correct, because I feel like this is the area that you will look at. So this needs to be perfect. Everything else can be crappy. And then also here. Oh no, now I have put this detail in, and now I need to explain it. Ah, that's another trap, so I need to put this in. But I think it's okay because it's sort of pointing towards his mouth. So that's okay because it actually supports the composition. Yeah, and of course this is too small, that the stuff up here, but who cares. Okay, and then we can clean up the edges a little. That also helps to fake that something looks more complete than it actually is. Something like this. And also here, like very clean edges, or let's say cleaner edges than they were before. You get the idea. What happened here? No, seriously, what movie is this? Let's find it out together. I bet it's something really, really famous, and I'm making a fool out of myself. Don't make edges that are too far from the main interest too sharp, or the eye will look at them. So we have to soften this edge here right now, so people actually look at the face and this beautiful nose where we want them to look at. No, what's happening? We don't want to destroy his nose. We just want the shape. This is important. The shape of the lighted area on the nose needs to be as correct as possible, or as it will look, at least to me, because if that's not the case, then he will look really weird when you see him small. And so yeah, so this is why I'm working on this. And also here, like by the nostrils, we don't want this to look like we have painted on top or something, or cut into his flesh. This is really tricky to get right. So really have to play with the shape. And so you see, we don't have the room for any more unnecessary detail, because you really want to focus on this part that we have chosen, and we simply wouldn't have the room if we had to worry about all the other stuff as well. This needs to be a bit brighter too. Nah. And then also, we need to explain visually that underneath his nose, the black stuff is a shadow. We need to explain this visually. If we don't, people might think all kind of stupid things. And we also need to be careful with the beard. So people read the beard accordingly to some parts being in the shadow and some parts being in the sun. Okay, so this is why I redrew the shadow underneath the nose. Somebody made a nose counter, by the way, for how often I say the word. And now I think this looks really nice. It has a really hand-painted look also. Oh, thanks God I did this on a separate layer. I would have shot myself otherwise. Okay. Oh yeah, and I wanted to add some of these. I don't know if it will look good if we add these highlights on the beard. It's something that makes the original interesting, but since we're working with reduced detail, I don't know if it's something that would be well readable, so I'm just experimenting with it. I think it actually works to, actually helps the picture profit. Okay, so if we now zoom out, do we understand his silhouette properly? The white format is really disturbing me right now because I just want to focus on him. Do you understand? Is his body correct? Or do we need to correct some things a little bit? Something like this, like closing gaps where there is no paint. This can really help. And then I would also just do this little thing. Darkening it up down there, and then we have here the shadow. We don't want too much unnecessary detail down here. Even though I'm really tempted to, to draw these folds in, work on this drapery, it is really unnecessary, technically. So all I want to do is find a good solution to put this stuff in somehow without investing too much effort. I think I would just loosely draw some stuff in, like this. This should do the job, because the face already has this light style. Ah no, this is that area, and this is the other area. Okay. And those tiny lines have sharp edges, so we have to push them back a little bit. We want to explain that they are just there we want to show that those lines are just there to explain something to us, but they aren't there to create a new focal point. Look how really it already looks on the thumbnail. pushing back the lines now. In some places I keep them stronger, like closer around his face, where I want to have more detail. But everywhere else, where there are other ways disturbing, they get pushed back. So that is the man and his nose. I haven't looked at the time, but I probably was a little slower than usual because I am explaining and painting. When you make speed paintings, please try to be somewhere between 20 minutes and half an hour. It really is better when you start out that you give yourself less time than too much time, because you want to practice to focus on essential things first. After you have learned to focus more on the essentials, you can of course start to invest more time into it. But invest this time wisely, because as mentioned, the most important thing for you when you do speed paintings is to learn something new. For instance, right now I'm experimenting with this drawing look, with the line art look. What can I add to this illustration to make it look more interesting? That is currently not part of my original assignment in drawing the man and his nose. I just had this idea as I started explaining, and as I saw that this texture actually looks nice. However, you want to focus on learning to break down the essentials first. And once you've done that, you can also give yourself different tasks. But the long assignments on which you spend a lot more time, you already have in the regular assignments. So try to really see the speed paintings as a chance to see something else and to become more loosened up in your work, and also to start more to analyze what you do and develop your own ideas, because that's ultimately the goal of this workshop, to prepare you to be able to make your own ideas later on, to design your own ideas, to make your own illustrations. That is what this is supposed to do. And so you must learn of more effective ways to do your work, and also to get to ideas to create illustrations of your own, and how to gather how to work with references and stuff like that. So I will upload everything in the workshop, and you will also get the PSD files from me, so you can take a look at it. Don't be frustrated, as mentioned. I think I cannot stress this enough. You're not on a contest to make the prettiest illustration under the sun. Even if mine looks somewhat decent, I've been doing this for a long time. And if it wouldn't look somewhat good, then I'd probably be in the wrong job. But try to really try to remember that your main goal is to learn, and not to show off how well you can copy. You can copy on different assignments, but here you want to practice. And what you can do, for instance, is that when you post a new study, a new speed painting study, you post a photograph or the reference, whatever you use to practice from, you post this, and you then say what interested you the most about it, like I told you, like with the bottle and stuff, what interested me, and say I was most interested about this woman's beautiful eyes, so I wanted to practice those, for instance. And as I made the speed painting, I learned this and that. This can really help, because also when you write that down, you think about it again. Like, what have I learned? What were my thoughts when I was working? Oh, okay. This is what I was thinking about. This is what I was learning. Like when I made the horse and I said, oh, I just learned something about the design that supports the idea that the horse also can serve like a dog. I just learned in the design why that is so. And this is something you can put down. You can share with the others what you have learned. And so you can like learn together, progress together, and learn from each other too. I think that's also very vital, to just look at what the other students made, which you're doing already, but just pointing this out, that also when you make speed painting, you can also share what you learn and stuff with your classmates, and also with me, of course. So that's basically the speed painting video. I hope that it was helpful. I just discovered a new technique that I like, which is really cool. I would probably do some more stuff like this, I guess. And I really like this, I don't know, pencil-like style, whatever, that just somehow developed itself. And I think I'm going to look into it some more. And as mentioned, I'm going to upload this all, then you can work with it. And I am happy to see your speed paintings. Goodbye.